Greetings, my fellow free philosophical thinkers. LL3's News Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangrove South Florida. And today's date is Monday, June 11th, 2018. Ooh, yeah, it's getting nice and warm in the heart of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. But, almost summertime. Probably summertime's already here. Prematurely, as usual. And another thing, too, is just... few people's having a good birthday. Jenny from the Jenny Torches, Tony Choi, if you remember him from the bass player for Cynic, Solstice, does some jazz work, Pestilence, and Atheist, just to give you some more examples here. And what occurred too is a lot of, you wish them a happy birthday, and my friend David Kent. Hey, everyone's getting up there in age, but you know what? It's great that everyone is alive and well, including all you folks are listening today. Well, I was just browsing through. Gonna have a little thing of little Trump anxiety. I'm not trying to say that. I'm not here to praise or worship or anything like that, but it's pretty funny at times with some of the drama. And let me just look at myself. If you all know my show, if I'm critical towards any politician, president, elected servant, I want to make sure I have my facts. I'm not gonna be a part of the her-conformed cheerleading squad. And yes, I am critical of some of these areas, of some of his actions. Yes, I'm not going to argue about that. And I've done it enough times. And some of the worshipers. Well, like I told people before, a president is an elected ambassador by the states, not our Lord and Savior. And people better start learning their civics and government, how U.S. government should actually run, instead of hearing some bobbleheads, hearsay-holics, and dumbed down stagnant buffoons that they sold their rear ends to Stratford, Associated Press, etc. Something to think about, right? Okay, well, here's one of these areas I can tell you about Trump anxiety. And it came from McClatchy, DC.com. It says here, web of elite Russians met with NRA execs during 2016 campaign. And I believe, Susan Pazzo from Occupy Corporatism put this into light. And like I said, I'm not going to agree with everything she says, but I'm not going to disagree in areas also, because I'm very fair. I read her work. And she has some great points too, to be very fair. However, I'm just going to read this, and it came out today. It says here, several proponent Russians, some in President Vladimir Putin's inner circle or high in the Russian Orthodox Church, now have been identified as having contact with National Rifle Association officials during the 2016 U.S. elections campaign, according to the photographs and the NRA source. I can find out where that source came from. The contacts have emerged amid deepening Justice Department investigation into whether Russian bankers, a lifetime NRA member, Alexander Toroshin, illegally channeled money through the gun rights group to add financial firepower to Donald Trump's 2016 presidential bid. I would recommend everyone out there look at opensecrets.org and find out for yourselves. You folks are intelligent enough about the internet at this moment. Can proceed here. Other influential Russians who met with NRA representatives during the campaign include Dmitry Rogozin, who until last month served as a deputy prime minister overseeing Russia's largest Phalian trophies, the St. Basil the Great Charitable Foundation. The foundation was launched by an ultranationalist ally of Russian President Putin. What's interesting about them, because if I'm correct, they were the ones that actually influenced the Putin regime or the Russian parliament to seize property to the Jehovah's Witnesses of the Watchtower Tract Society in Russia. So just give you that clue, because if you don't play ball, you're the bad guy. And I know the Watchtower Tract Society in good faith was started by Charles Taylor Russell, who was known as a 33rd degree Freemason And if you look at the cemetery he was at, right across from it was a Greater Pittsburgh Masonic Lodge, and he has a Masonic pyramid as his tombstone. How exquisite. And if you ask a fellow witness that, they think you're a conspiracy kook. But I will proceed here. The Russians talked and dined with NRA representatives mainly in Moscow as the U.S. presidential candidates vied for the U.S. White House. Now, U.S. investigators want to know if the relationship between the Russian leaders and the nation's largest gun rights group went beyond vodka toast and gun factory tours, evolving into a facet of the Kremlin's broad election interference operation. If it was Israel, they wouldn't be talked about it, right? Oh, absolutely. It would be called anti-Semitic. Even as the contracts took place, Kremlin cyber operatives were secretly hacking top Democrats' emails and targeting American social media accounts with fake news series aimed at damaging the image of Democratic presidential frontrunner Hillary Clinton and boosting the prospects of Republican Donald Trump. She does no wrong. She is such the greatest patriot in American history. I'm sorry. This is funny. That's why I'm getting a good laugh on this, I will continue on here. It is a crime potentially punishable with prison time to donate or use foreign money in U.S. election campaigns. Unless you're APAC, you are accepted. It's exceptionalism, right? How biased is this? McCarthy in January disclosed that Justice Department Special Counsel Robert Mueller was investigating whether torsion or other engineered the flows of Russian monies to the NRA. The Senate Intelligence Committee is also looking into the matter. Sources familiar with the probe have said the sources spoke on conditions with anonymity because the inquiries, which are part of sweeping parallel investigations into Russia's interference with the 2016 U.S. elections, have not been publicly announced. Yes, it's all their fault that Hillary Clinton, a New World Order agent, lost. Thanks to the Kremlins, right? I'm sorry. This is funny, okay? You're talking to a man who's not even a Trump worshiper. I'm gonna continue on here. NRA spokesman Andrew Edelman said, however, that the FBI has not contacted the group. A photograph taken during the 2015 trip to Russia by leaders of the powerful group showed what meetings with Torsion, Rogozin, and Rudolph, and a source knowledgeable after the visit confirmed gathering. The source spoke of condition of anonymity to avoid damaging relationships. The NRA, Trump's highest financial backer, spent more than $30 million to boost his upstart candidacy. That's more than double when it laid out for the 2012 GOP nominee Mitt Romney. You know why? Because Mitt Romney sucks. He's a flip-flopping douchebag, okay? He is not Bill of Rights friendly as well, okay? Just to let you folks know that. And the NRA money started flowing much earlier in the cycle for Trump. I wonder why, because Mitt Romney was a Goldman Sachs bellboy, okay? So, just to give you an example. Yeah, they'll want to give you those facts, my friend, And it says here, Turchin has drawn focus in part because he was implicated in years-long investigation by Spanish authorities into money laundering by the Russian mob. Spanish prosecutor Jose Grinda, who led that investigation, was in Washington late last month and met with FBI officials for several hours, a well-placed source said. During his visit, Grinda also acknowledged in an appearance at Hudson Institute that a few months ago his office provided the FBI with transcripts of wiretaps in which a since-convicted Russian money launderer spoke with Torsion and called him Al Padrino. Spanish for Godfather, Yahoo News reported. Spanish authorities have alleged that Torsion helped launder money years ago into Spanish hotels and banks for Russian mobsters. A development first reported in 2016 by Bloomberg News. All right, another Stratford network, I would say. Torsion was among 38 Russian government officials, oligarchs, and companies sanctioned by the United States in April in retaliation for the Kremlin's U.S. election meddling and other aggressions around the world, including in Ukraine and Syria. It's unclear whether Torsion's NRA activity or his alleged money laundering in Spain influenced the decision to bar Americans from doing business with him. Now, Deputy Governor of Russia's central bank, Torsion has denied mob ties as well as any role in money laundering in Spain or in secretly routine money to the NRA. Last month on Capitol Hill, Democrats in the Senate Judiciary Committee who examined Russian interaction with the NRA reached a preliminary conclusion that the Kremlin may also have used the NRA to secretly fund Mr. Trump's campaign. Signing the finding, Democratic Representative Ted Leo of California and Kathleen Rice of New York as FBI Director Christopher Wray in May 24 letter to expand the inquiry to also explore whether Kremlin money flowed illegally to the NRA through this influencing the House and Senate races. I'm just like, whole song and dance. Right now I have them printed out here, so illegal campaigns, contributions by a foreign nation, especially one whose interests stand in stark contrast to those of the United States, threaten the very underpinnings of our democracy, and it cannot remain unchallenged, Lowe and Rice wrote. I'm sorry, we are not a democracy. We're not run by mob rule. We have constitutional conditions on democratic processes. Democracy is 50% plus one every time, a one-vote system. So hopefully all you folks who are democracyaholics can comprehend this through your brains. And I'm not here to pick on anybody, but I just hear this, used car salesman rhetoric. The NRA reported spending $24.4 million to back Republican candidates for Congress in 2016. Spokespeople for the FBI Mueller's office declined to comment on the letter. The senior Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee echoed concerns about whether Russian money might have found its way to the NRA through congressional races. California Representative Adam Schiff, should be Adam S-H-I-T, okay, because he is full of that, said it's also important to trace whether the Russians used to prominent gun rights groups to conceal financial backing for Trump to determine whether that could constitute leverage against our now president, a favor that could leave him beholden to the Kremlin. In weeks-long exchange of letters with Democratic Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon, NRA General Counsel John Fraser disclosed that the group accepts foreign donations, but that none had been used in elections and that Russian contributions and members' dues totaled $2,500 in 2016. In April, Fraser called the exchange without divulging any of the group's so-called dark money donors who are allowed to contribute anonymously and can further shield their identities behind shell companies. It is unclear whether the group has traced the sources of all those funds. Of the $30 million the NRA reported spending to support Trump, more than $21 million was spent by its lobbying arm, whose donors are not publicly reported. Two NRA insiders said that overall the group spent at least $70 million, including resources devoted to field operations and online advertising, which are not required to be publicly reported. The NRA's officials forged a relationship with Torsion, a close Putin ally, and his prestige, Maria Butina, in 2011. Soon Torsion helped Butina start a Russian gun rights group called the Right to Bear Arms. Yeah, I remember hearing about that in a show called Armed American Radio, and they did talk about trying to get like a pro-farms rights group in Russia. So that's where they probably do have the NRA by other lobby groups in the United States to come on in and talk about the purpose of it. So give them some inspiration. In 2016, upon Trump's election as president, Torsion tweeted that he and Butina were the only Russians lifetime members of the NRA. For 5 years, Torsion flew to the United States to attend the group's annual conventions, culminating in 2016 affair in Louisville. Torsion briefly met Donald Trump Jr. at a dinner during the event, but failed in efforts to arrange a private meeting with Trump. Months earlier, in December 2015, Torsion and Butina's gun rights groups hosted an NRA delegation led by the NRA board member and former president David Keene for a week of lavish wining and dining in Moscow. During their visit, the NRA group met with Rogozin, who served as a deputy prime minister overseeing Russia's military-industrial complex for 7 years and previously was Russia's ambassador to NATO. Late last month, Putin put him in charge of the Russian space program. Rogozin is a far-right nationalist who has extensive ties to Russian armed industry that he managed and is deeply hostile to the West, said Mike Carpenter, who was a Russian specialist while a senior Pentagon official in the Obama administration. Another Russia expert, Atlantic Council fellow Andrews Uslin, was flabbergasted that the NRA delegation met with Rogozin. And what's funny about the Atlantic Council, they're another New World Order, One World Order entity, so they're not really that organic. I can't understand the NRA meeting with Rogozin since he was sanctioned in 2014, he said. It's so embarrassing. Well, there's a lot more worse than this, okay? So I was going to continue on here. Rogozin, Torsion, and ultra-nationalist foundation Shastafin Rudov joined the NRA entourage during the visit and were photographed together at a meeting. Rudolph's career has kept him on a lower-profile trajectory, running a considered religious charity, the St. Basil the Great Charitable Foundation. St. Basil's chairman and founder is Putin ally and unorthodox figure Konstantin Maloviev, a Russian billionaire sanctioned in 2014 by the U.S. Treasury Department because of his support for the Russian-hacked separatists who invaded crimes early that year. Carpenter said that Maloviev's foundation is used to support his various causes, which have included financing mercenaries who forcibly wrested control of eastern Ukraine from the Kyiv government. Lyle, a member of the House of Foreign Affairs Committee, said in an interview that he finds it very odd for Putin's allies to meet with the NRA because they don't actually have a similar interest in making sure that people bear arms. The Russian government has generally restricted citizens to owning a shotgun and a 5-year licensed use hunting rifle. Given the web's contacts between top Russians and the NRA during the presidential run, Lewis said it appears something very bad happened in 2016. Well, it was interesting about that because, like I said, I have heard that show during that time when they're trying to get a pro-gun rights group happening in Russia. So how I look at it is there's a lot of networking going on, trying to get some ideas and influences from certain groups. And you talk to a person, I'm not a big Russian, big Putin fan like that, because I know his KGB status. So you have to always question all these individuals. But one thing that makes me laugh, when you got a reporter that still want to blame Russia for the loss of Hillary, because Hillary Clinton's lost, is downright ludicrous. All right? It is. Meek and unmeritable. Like I told people in the past, the reason why Trump won, past practices from both parties. In 2012, the GOP screwed over Ron Paul. Okay, especially during the convention. And 2016, the DNC shafted Bernie Sanders. Like these individuals or not, That's the reason why Trump won. He was considered quote-unquote an outsider, allegedly, in my eyes. There's some claims he has some Zionist ties, and I did talk about some stuff. He's involved with some his banksters, some Rothschild connections, according to like Edward G. Griffin's website. I did talk about that in my past episodes. And I'm not going to, back off on it or anything like that. There's just certain claims that does make some sense. However, if we can try to resuscitate a corpse that's been rotted for at least 10 years, try to do a Frankenstein measure to bring it back to light. It's gonna blow back in your faces. The Democrats and these knuckleheads. Don't be surprised if some of these people in Congress are Israeli citizens too, dual citizens. Major conflict of interest. And it's not being anti-Semitic either. But if they can do it and the Russians can't, that's called exceptionalism. So as far as I'm concerned, it goes a lot deeper than what people think. But furthermore, this whole scenario is a complete joke until you got concrete evidence. Then I may listen. And that's just talking to a man that's not a Trump worshiper. Alright? Alright, we'll do another thing on Trump anxiety. It's from the Northeastern Outlook, written by Dina Stryker. It says here Trump's big picture. And as it reads, aside from North Korea and his trade war impact on jobs, the average American doesn't care if Trump loses his European allies over demands that they cease all business with Iran. During the recent school graduation season, former front oil man Rex Tillerson, Trump's short-lived Secretary of State, and his successor Mike Pompeo give speeches that illustrate the fracture in America's attitude toward the world at large. At the graduation ceremony of the Virginia-based institute, Tillerson said, "If our leaders seek to conceal the truth, or as we people become accepting the alternative realities that are no longer grounded in fact, then we as American citizens are on a pathway for relinquishing our freedom." He adds that citizens must demand that America's future be fact-based, not based on wishful thinking, not hope for outcomes made in shallow promises, but with a clear-eyed view of the facts that they are, and guided by the truth that will set us free to seek solutions to our most daunting challenges. Meanwhile, Mike Pompeo, the new Secretary of State, who formerly headed the CIA, promised America's diplomatic back office, whose ranks had been decimated under Tillerson, that he would bring the State Department's a swagger back. He defined this as an aggressive born of the righteous knowledge that our cause is just, special, and built upon America's core principles, adding, "We should carry that diplomatic swagger to the ends of the earth, humbly, nobly, and with the skull and courage know you all possesses." President Trump's other appointees, including federal judges and the cabinet secretaries who head the U.S. government's various departments, equivalent of ministries, are all hardline conservatives who can't be counted upon to pursue The agenda bizarrely announced by alt-right former advisor Steve Bannon to dismantle the state in pure Leninist tradition. So, if it sounds strange, Bannon is just back from Italy, and he encouraged and learned from the populist coalition that just came to power, claiming it has overcome the left-right divide in order to fight immigration, verifying the dubious claim in the Corriere della Sera, is Italy's daily record. Turns out that unlike its governing partner, the League, the Five-Star Movement, particularly admired by Bannon, published a comprehensive program for the interrogation of African refugees. That don't bother the Trump whisperers. He has been called who in an interview with Indian-born Fareed Zakaria doubled down on the need for a wall prevent brown people from entering the U.S. It's funny about that because I can say this about Fareed Zakaria. He is a member of the Council of Foreign Relations as well. And yet, unrecognized, the president may actually be applying the smarts that made his fortune in real estate to the big picture, appearing to disrespect the North Atlantic Alliance. Trump may, in fact, by deliberately encouraging the Europeans to turn out from the United States toward Russia, deep states Washington's real rulers can prevent the president from abandoning America's role of royal cop. In particular, vice Russia. However, Europe offers him a backdoor to achieve the same result. In recent interviews, RT's Oksana Boyko, a former French minister in foreign trade, to declare that the EU failed to prevent the U.S. from using its domestic legal system to punish trading partners, it would fall amidst over louder calls by other leaders for Europe to stand on its own. The letters these letters are really small, so sorry I'm reading slow here. American observers are beginning to notice have belated calls for independence, but President Trump's indifference to brief papers has led them to take this appearance mistreatment of the EU as the ultimate ineptitude instead of a clever ploy by giving America's closest allies ever more reasons to turn from learning Russia to align with it. Trump is saving them from becoming the battlefield that two Cold War sought to create, a major plus for everyone. With white on white Armageddon avoided, it will fail to their future American president to join Putin and Xi's geographically based kind of meeting with India, South Africa, and Brazil, the BRICS, that would enable the Caucasian minor to thrive in what will increasingly be honeycomb color. So it's colored world. That'll be a little bit interesting synopsis there by Dina Stryker. So it's one of the areas you have to always see. Like you gotta look at things a lot more broad. And of course, some of the folks in the cabinets, you have to see that as well. It's like not really too fond, I would say. But you gotta see how far this thing goes, because hey, people, even Trump supporters too, are tired of imperialism and all that. And I can say that in good faith. And of course, based on all the skeptics and naysayers, whatever you can do, you can obviously be vigilant. However, we all got to do our part as well on, hey, why we have to spend more money overseas instead of in the United States. That is one of those areas a lot of people voted for President Trump, and he won the Electoral College because people voted for him and went to there and boom. So, and just to let you know about Electoral College, I still support it. I'm against popular vote because it becomes more centralized. It's supposed to be the United States, not the centralized states. All right. So remember, they're trying to make this. They always try to bring it into a more federal corporation, so the franchise don't count. So you put your franchise here. Okay, so that's it. But oh no, something you gotta really think about. And here's a synopsis. I always get, I'm very fair with you folks. I do one more here about Trump. Came from a New American. Trump's likely to support repeal of federal marijuana prohibition. This is by Michael Tennant, right? Terriot, yeah. It says here, President Trump said Friday he will probably support a bill that will permit states to set their own marijuana policies, removing the threat of federal prosecution from marijuana growers, sellers, and consumers in states that have decriminalized cannabis in one degree or another. How sweet, huh? Just before leaving the G7 summit in Canada, Trump was asked about the bill had been introduced in Congress the day before by, among others, Senator Cory Gardner, Republican from Colorado. I support Gardner, Trump replied. I know exactly what he's doing. We're looking at it, but I probably will end up supporting it. That, yes. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good man, how you doing? So we'll continue on here. And it says here the Trump administration's inconsistent policy with regards to state marijuana laws was one impetus for legislation. As a candidate for president, Trump said he favored leaving marijuana policy up to the states, which I agree too. Okay, in the administration earlier month, Attorney General Jeff Sessions strongly suggests that he would not prosecute anyone violating federal marijuana law in states that have relaxed their own laws, continuing a Justice Department policy that has been in place since 2013. Gardner claims to have been the personal recipient of such assurances and was enraged when Sessions reversed course in January. According to the Los Angeles Times, Trump later reinstated the hands-off policy without consulting Sessions. All you gotta do is read the 10th Amendment and Federalist Papers 46 by James Madison, or look at the case Prince versus the United States. All right. According to press release, Gardner issued Thursday, 46 states plus Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, Guam, and a number of American Indian tribes have relaxed their marijuana laws in recent years, some permitting pot strictly for medical reasons and others allowing it for recreational purposes. The conflict between these laws and the federal laws has several serious consequences to the release. Legitimate businesses that comply with state laws are blocked from access to basic banking services. Illicit markets often spring up, and local law enforcement must divert resources needed elsewhere. Thousands of people are prosecuted and locked up in our criminal justice system. Qualified scientists and state public health departments struggle to conduct basic and epidemiological research or spur medical advances in fundamental nature of state and tribal sovereignty is violated. It is significant that Gardner is, as the Times put it, framing the issue as one state's rights. A bill is strengthening the 10th Amendment through the Trusting States Act. The 10th Amendment declares that any powers not delegated by the federal government by the Constitution are reserved to the states or the people. Since control of substances is not a power delegated to the federal government, it follows that states are free to establish their own drug policies. Some may go the route to complete prohibition, others a partial or total legalization. As Gardner explained in a tweet, our bill does not legislate marijuana. Instead, it allows the principle of federalism to prevail as the Founding Fathers intended, that leaves the marijuana question up to the states. Gardner seems particularly concerned that federal cannabis prohibition inhibits the growth of the marijuana business in states where it is legal. A Thursday press conference, he said, if you're in the marijuana business, you can't get a bank loan or set up a bank account because of concern over the conflict between state and federal law. We need to fix this. It is a time to take this industry out of the shadows, bring these dollars out of the shadows. Of course, support an open free market, not neo-mercantilism. Gardner seems particularly concerned that the federal cannabis prohibition inhibits the growth of the marijuana business in states where it's legal. Thursday press conference, he said, if you are in the marijuana business, I think I already said that. Shoot, sorry about that, folks. The States Act would rectify. This is not only repealing the federal marijuana ban, but also explicitly stating that complainant transactions are not trafficking and do not result in proceeding an unlawful transition, according to Gardner's press release. The bill faces tremendous headwinds in Congress. John Hudak, a marijuana policy expert at the Brookings Institution, please flush these people down the toilet, told the Times Congress has been slow to respond to the sea changes in public opinion, vice versa marijuana, and even Trump's remarks may not make much difference. We've seen this president voice his support for a lot of things related to cannabis, but he has not done absolutely nothing to move legislation, said Haddock. This is just more empty rhetoric from a president who is vague on the issue. Only time will tell whether Trump remains true to his word or is, if you pardon the expression, just blowing smoke. Yeah, so you gotta be, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if something like this will happen. But the truth of the matter is, my friend, you gotta really look at everything in the bigger picture. Because the fact is this, like I told people in the past, let the states make its decision. That's the reason why not marijuana, but alcohol was considered, the marijuana prohibition law got repealed because the states nullification. So we can do this with marijuana as well. On the state nullification and jury nullification. All right, no victim, no crime. That's how I look at these. That's how I look at these synopsis. And you know what? I wouldn't worry about Washington D.C. I would focus on the states. Tell the states this is our jurisdiction and support your constitutional sheriffs. Anyone that's a member of Homeland Security in that position needs to be gone because that's a major conflict of interest. And two examples is Sheriff Jeff Lombardo from Las Vegas or Clark County and Scott Israel from Broward County, Florida. Okay? Those are the two examples. All right. Let's do one more here. And this one here is totally different. And it came from Sunshine State News. Second Amendment foe spinning story of concealed carry application failure is by Everett Wilkinson. And it came out earlier today. Anti-gun activists are falsely stating that Agriculture Commissioner Adam Button, who was running for governor with a strong NRA rating, let thousands of people buy guns illegally while in charge of the Department of Agriculture. It is false. This is a failure of an employee to not allow a single gun purchase. It was about allowing licenses to carry concealed weapons. Any gun activist should be ashamed of themselves for promoting fake news. Putnam has less direct management of the neglectful employee than, say, Tim Cook, CEO of Apple. When an iPhone is sold with a bad screen, true. When something goes wrong, we all tend to ask who's in charge here. Yet, isn't there more to be seen in this instance? Leadership doesn't mean everything in the ranks will run as they should all the time. But true leadership does not resolve problems when they surface. Let's further examine the facts of the case and what happened. 1. An employee of the Department of Agriculture failed to do her job over the course of 1 year, which was reviewed 365 applications to carry a concealed firearm that were red flag. 2. The employee never alerted her manager or anyone else that she couldn't log in or what she wasn't doing her job for a year. 3, when it was discovered, the action was taken and the employee was immediately terminated for neglecting to do her job. 4, when the Department of Agriculture found out about the failure of one of its employees to review the concealed weapon carry application, they immediately reviewed the 365 applications that resulted in suspension of 291 of the licenses. 5, not one of the 291 people issued concealed permits were any more able to purchase a firearm with a license because a concealed weapons permit neither grants nor gives the ability to purchase a firearm. 6, Putnam's office did not have any direct management concerning the neglectful employee. What is real in this instance is the attack on the Second Amendment to make citizens defenseless. Criminals and the mentally insane will never follow laws. We must leave ourselves unprotected against them. What's interesting about that, how does concealed carry licenses and the Second Amendment go hand in hand? It doesn't, with all due respect, because Bill of Rights are natural-born rights. A license is a privilege. So he needs, respectfully, in that aspect, what I'm reading so far, he needs to get that rearranged. And, but overall, he does have a lot of great pointers, too. But I'm going to continue on here. According to statistics from Florida State University's renowned criminologist Dr. Gary Keek, a gun is used for protection over 2 million times every year. The concealed carry gun laws in Florida make criminals think twice before committing crimes. Citizens need to wake up and realize that the liberal left will do anything to take away our gun rights. Well, like I told everyone this, it's a natural right under Article 1, Section 2 of the Florida Constitution entitled Basic Rights. Okay? Unfortunately, we can't count on our police to fully protect us. Of course. I'm going to continue on here. The Parkland shooting is an example, which the FBI and the local law enforcement were alerted over 30 times that this person was a danger. The Texas shooting was stopped by an armed citizen, and an armed guard stopped at a recent school shooting in Maryland. But you don't talk about that in the big mainstream news. Another thing is this as well with the police protecting. The truth of the matter is, technically they're not obligated to protect the individual under Florida Statute 768.28 entitled Sovereign Immunity and Tort Liability Act, and a great case to look at, once again, Wong versus the City of Miami in 1970. And you can look it up yourselves, and I hit my archives. I did talk about that around the Parkland shootings, too, on one of those episodes. America was founded on the idea of people being able to pursue happiness, and that includes the security of oneself and one's property. It is why our wise founding fathers included the right to bear arms as a constitutional irrevocable right for all. If our Second Amendment rights are infringed upon, we should logically assume that all of our rights can be erased by our government to protect us. Together we stand, and we will not fall for fake news propping infringement of our rights. Like I said before, it's all about natural rights, not constitutional rights. Because remember, the Bill of Rights is based on your natural-born rights. Period. And I just can't stand some people trying to change this around, trying to sell me some garbage that I hear about the past 30 years. I laugh. I'm not trying to pick on these people, but don't insult me. I'm tired of you guys trying to talk to people like Wally Cleaver, my best friend's Eddie Haskell, even though he's an asshole. Come on. That only works on TV, my friends. So, and people ask me, a lot of people don't know, can't train themselves. Oh, so all this fear, F-E-A-R, fear. But the truth of the matter is, hey, there's a lot of people are responsible for firearm owners. They are taking initiative on training themselves, making them better. Okay? Oh, I'm tired of one thing I can't stand when people want to hear this propaganda matrix. Where are Edward Bernays' playbook? That's why some of these knuckleheads, and I'm not even a big Putnam guy myself, but you really got to look at the entire thing. It's always called a witch hunting fetish. And folks, doesn't matter what paradigm, are very good at it. Always want to point the finger at a train's coming by. Want to point the finger, and they can't even tie their own shoelaces or resolve their own affairs. Everything is responsibility. And there's a lot more responsible folks out there that own these tools than not. Could be wrong. A lot of them can't, including Michael Bloomberg and their wacky Orwellian echo chamber choir. All right, that is it. I like to get not too much passion, but try to stand on principle, okay? So, I thank everyone for listening, but feel free to download and share through your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you're saying something that's interesting, man, to check out wherever you do, please send your correspondences with the core. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Minds.com, OneWay.org, Yours.org, Gab at jb.ai if you're into the free speech Skype, or we can hit other areas. Man, I got so many of them out there, I might forget, and I apologize for that. But buddylist.co, that's another great site. And yours, One Way. Just type in Loki Luck the Third. You'll find me all over your sites, okay? And Patreon.com if you want to be a donor at Loki with / Loki Luck with 3 eyes. In addition, you can email me at LokiLuck3@gmail.com or to your cryptic one, including those with a Proton Mail account. You get me at LokiLuck03@ProtonMail.com. All right, my friends, that's all for now. Once again, thank you for your time, but always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading love. May your guardian spirits be with you.